Hello ladies, welcome to my exclusive tamale video. I am going to start off by just showing you basically what all is needed to start with. So pretty much I'm also going to be making a salsa.
Mommy and me are making some tamales.
Basically you need a standard pack of corn husks. I just went to the local Mexican store near me, but you're going to want those corn husks. And for the amount that we're making in this video, you're also going to want 5 pounds of bone-in chicken. Bone-in only because if you do it boneless, it comes out a little more dry than normal. So this just makes sure that the chicken is moist.
Yes, it
and
does,
get
guys.
dry.
My mommy likes making tamales.
Also, you're going to need pork lard. You can also find this at the Mexican store, or you can use like bacon grease. And also you need mas. So you can buy like the pre-made mas in a container like this,
Beating the meat, mommy.
or you can find it in a bag where you just mix water and make it yourself.
Beating the chicken.
Can you stop for a minute, please?
Yeah, I'm trying to make it taste good.
You need 3 main chili peppers.
Yes,
so,
guys, we do.
First ones are chile pasilla, and then you have chile ancho,
Those look like jalapenos.
and then you have chile cascabel. So during the video, I'm going to show you how many of each you need and what you need to do with them.
Those look like Carolina
I'm also going to
Reapers.
show you how to season the meat. Sorry, my son won't stop talking.
My bad.
Thank you.
But they look like
And
Carolina
then
Reapers.
as far as salsa goes, the way I make mine is jalapenos, habaneros, tomatoes, and then we got the tomatillos, so the green tomatoes. These ones are the ones basically with the leaf around them. And then of course, white onion. So I'm going to go ahead and transition into the next part of the video, which is going to be preparing the meat. And so I'll go ahead and show you how that works. Alright, so for the meat, you're just going to want to make sure that when you get the chicken, you're going to want to cut off all the fat. So like all the white sleeves on it and then any other fat areas that you can find. Once the chicken cooks all the way, you can basically sift through it for any bones and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting this up, and I'll show you how to season it and put it in the crock pot. Alright, now for the chicken, I have it in the crock pot, as you can see. So you just put it in the crock pot, and then for the chicken, you want to let it cook on high for 4.5 hours. And then as far as ingredients go for the chicken, you need 2 cloves of garlic. I just use minced garlic. And you guys have to bear with me with this part because I am not a measurer. It's probably why I'm not so great at baking. I literally just eyeball everything. So minced garlic or 2 garlic cloves. You're gonna need pepper. So I would say about 1 tablespoon of pepper. And then also bay leaves is another ingredient you're going to want to use. So you're going to take 2 bay leaves and use those. So usually they don't have to be perfectly full. You just put 2 bay leaves in there. And then I also use a little bit of Slap Your Mama. It's a Cajun seasoning, so you can use any brand. I only use about a ½ teaspoon of this. So I just basically sprinkle it evenly across. And then a good recommendation for this is a chicken bouillon cube. But if you don't have that, or if you don't want to use that, you can use like a chicken seasoning. I also got this from the Mexican market. So I basically use about a tablespoon of this just to make sure it's seasoned well. But pretty much I just coat the top of the chicken with a layer of that seasoning. And then obviously you're going to want to use a little bit of salt. So I'd say about a ½ tablespoon of salt, because you are dealing with 5 pounds of chicken. And so now I'm done topping it off. You can also add onion for flavor if you want to. So once I close it, I'll probably go chop up ½ of an onion and add that to it just for flavor. So I'll see you at the next part. Okay, you guys are gonna have to bear with me. I'm not the greatest videographer, so. All right, now that the chicken is cooking, the next step is going to be to prepare your husks. So most people like to soak these for at least an hour. I literally soak them in my sink the entire time the chicken is cooking. Just keep in mind, the longer that you soak them, the more tender they'll be, because you really don't want to have hard husks, because then it won't hold the flavor as well. So it's very simple. When you get the husks out, you really want to just make sure that you rinse them off completely before you even soak them. So that's what I'm going to be doing. And then during the soaking process, I like to add like little chili peppers inside of the water, because it gives them a flavor to hold the tamales in. So I'm just rinsing right now. So while I'm rinsing, I'm going to pause the video until the next step, which is going to be preparing the chile while everything is cooking. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it for just a second. Alright, sorry everyone, my last video cut off. So here's what the husks should look like after you put them in water. Basically, the reason why the pot is there is because I needed to keep the husks submerged in water. And then these are called arbol chiles. They're real spicy chiles, but these are, like I said, more just for flavor. You won't really get any spice from them because they are going to be on the husks. So now I'm going to start preparing the puree. So for the puree, you're going to want to use 1 onion, and then you're going to have 3 cascabel chiles, which are these right here. You're going to have 3 ancho chiles, which are these ones here. And then you're going to have 3 pasilla chiles, which are these. So you're going to want to cut the stems off each of them, cut them down the middle, and you're going to want to take the seeds out of each of them. So once those are out, I'll show you what step is next. And then also you're going to do 3 of garlic cloves. So you just chop those up and add those. All right, ladies, so as you're doing the de-seeding of all these chile peppers, you can start boiling your water to add all the peppers in. You're going to boil everything for about 5 minutes. That's going to include the onion, 3 cloves of garlic, and then all of the 9 chile peppers. All right, so now it's time to add the de-seeded peppers to the boiling water. And like I said, this is going to take about 5 minutes to boil. You just want to boil them until they're pretty tender. So and now once these finish boiling, you're going to go ahead and put them in a blender until you form a puree. So once the puree is made, I'll show you what that should look like as well. Alright, so I've boiled these for 5 minutes, and as you can see, they're pretty tender. So what I'm going to do is just transport them to the blender. And when we blend it, it's going to turn these into a puree. Guys, next time I make a video, I'm going to be sure to like get myself a tripod or a selfie stick or something, because this is extremely hard. Plus I had to make like 5 videos already, because apparently you can't just pause them and resume. It actually ends up timing out, and also it literally won't let me switch from selfie mode to this mode while I'm recording. So we are just going to do this the less proficient way and hope that it works. And hopefully I can use the app that I was going to use to merge the videos without a problem. So we shall see. Anyways, once you get everything into the blender, you're just going to want to blend it until you make a puree out of it. So once you make the puree, you're going to actually just strain for any skin from the chile peppers, which I'll show you how to do that also. Now that the chile peppers are done boiling, I'm going to start on the salsa. So that's what this is going to be. I'm going to do it the same way as the chile peppers. Pretty much I'm going to boil all of this for about 5 minutes as well, and I'm going to take the tomatoes out about 2 minutes in. So that's going to be next. Alright, so the puree is done, and now we're going to basically just make sure that there is no skin being left in the puree. So you're just going to want to get it into a strainer slash sifter, basically whatever you want to use. Just make sure it has tiny enough holes to catch little pieces of skin. So the way I do it is with this thing here, and so it's going to pretty much just drop all the fluid into the bottom bowl and pretty much take out all the skin up here. So you're going to do this until you have nothing but skin left in the strainer, and you'll have your puree, and then I'll show you what comes next. Alright, chicken is done. I'm going to go ahead and shred the chicken up and leave the broth inside the crock pot while I do that. As you can see, I started to shred up the chicken, but it's still a little hot and I'd rather be able to use my hands to shred it a little more. So I'm going to move on to the mas. And for the mas, I'm melting approximately 2.5 cups of pork lard. I'm only going to use 2 cups. So for the mas, I'm going to start by adding about a cup of chicken broth from the crock pot. So usually I would have strained this to get any chicken pieces out, but it's okay. So then you're going to want to add some puree to this. So you want to add a decent amount of puree to give it color and flavor. And then after adding these ingredients, including the pork lard, which is 2 cups, you're just going to want to mix until it's fluffy. So you're going to want to mix for about 10 minutes. Okay, so here's the 2 cups of pork lard going into the mas. Now you can dump it all in at once, but I like to mix, dump, mix, dump. So you'll see how that turns out after about 10 minutes. So the mas is officially prepared, and so now we're moving on to the chicken. So for the chicken, you want to do the same and get about a cup of chicken broth into the chicken. I also like to add a little additional seasoning, but you guys can really add whatever you want to. I don't have any specific seasonings. I get crazy every single time, so it just depends on my mood. And then puree again for this one. This is also going to add the flavor, the color to the meat. So this one you'll probably want to do about a half a cup of puree. I do about 6 spoonsful. And so now I'm just going to shred and mix this all together. So the chicken is done. Now that that's done, we're going to move on over to the stove. That's where we're going to start preparing the tamale steamer. I'm just going to start by putting a couple cascabel peppers inside of the steamer with the water. This just helps to keep the flavor. And then you got to put the steamer piece in. So also keep in mind with the steamer, you're going to want to check it at least every half hour. Out of the 2 hours, you're going to let them steam. You can also basically just grab a measuring cup and pour a little water down the sides every 30 minutes just to keep it from getting dry down there, because it will burn. You've seen the pot before I put the lid on it. Okay, now we're completely prepared to start preparing the tamales before we get them in the steamer. So to spread the masa onto the husk, you just want to look for the side that is smoother than the other side. So this side's a little rougher than this side. So this one you can usually tear some off too if it's too big. But basically you just take the masa and you just spread it onto the husk. And I like to do a thin layer of masa and put extra meat. That way you can taste the meat a little bit more. But that's just my opinion. You can do it. Some people like thick masa and some people like less meat. So it's up to you on how you want to do it. But then the end of it should look like this. You don't have to spread it out side to side. So once you do that, you put a little meat down the middle. Just like this. And then you take one side, fold it over, and fold both sides back over to the middle. And then you just tuck the bottom underneath. Make sure it's tight up there. And voila. So final results, these are all wrapped. The ingredients I gave you totaled out to be about 48 tamales. Depending on how much mas and how much meat you use, you can make more or less. So I'm going to start putting these in the steamer. I've let the steamer heat up for about 5 minutes now. I'm basically going to make a cradle with them. So I'm going to just put them in a circle and continue to stack them this way. That way they steam and cook through evenly. So I'll continue to do that all the way to the top. And then I'm going to go ahead and cover the top of the pan with wet corn husks that are left over, just to kind of keep them moist. So that is the end of this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, guys.